Hello everyone. Today we are back with the next type of animal tissue, that is the muscular tissue. Now these muscular tissues are of many importance to the body of an organism. The reason is because this muscular tissues helps an organism in performing various kinds of movement. Okay, now this muscle tissues are made up of the units or the cells which are known as your muscle fibers. And if we get a close look of this muscle fibers, then these muscle fibers are made up of your myofibrils. They have a lot of tiny fibrils inside their cell cytoplasm which are known as your myofibrils. These are nothing but a kind of specialized contractile protein which is of two types, actin and myosin. Depending upon the location of this muscle tissue in our body as well as their structural differences, the muscle tissue is of various types. Now the first type of muscle tissue which has been discussed is known as your skeletal muscle. Now why it is known as the skeletal muscle is because these muscles are attached to that of our limbs, like our hands, our legs. Okay, these are also present in our tongue, in our pharynx, and it can work according to our will. So that is why sometimes the skeletal muscles are also known as your voluntary muscles. And if you see these muscles under the microscope, you will find these are cylindrical in structure with the alternate light and dark bands. Here's this black represents the dark bands, and in between the black, this white portion represents the light band. Now this light and dark bands, these are known as your striations. And as a result of it, the skeletal muscles are also known as your striated muscle. Why? Because they have alternate light and dark bands present in them. Now again, there is one more peculiarity about this kind of skeletal muscle is that they are made up of contractile proteins. So when they get a stimuli, they can contract, and as a result of it, the organ attached to it will be showing the movement. And after the stimuli period is over, then it will again relax and come back to its original form. Now these skeletal muscles are multinucleated, and the nuclei, you can see the nuclei is peripheral. They are multinucleated and they are peripheral. That means they are present in the periphery of the cylindrical skeletal muscle, that is the fibers, muscle fibers, and they are not branched, and as I told you that they are found in the parts of our body which is showing movement and which is under our control. That is the kind of muscle which is called as your skeletal muscle or striated muscle or voluntary muscle. The next type of muscular tissue which is discussed is your smooth muscle. Now why this word smooth has been introduced? The reason is because if you see these muscle fibers under the microscope, you will find that the shape of these muscles are that of spindle shaped. Spindle shape means if you see the two ends of this muscle, they are tapered. Okay, they are sharp, they are tapered, and middle one, if you see the middle one of the fibers, they are broad and they are uninucleate. That means they have a single nucleus and the nucleus lies in the center. And the cell cytoplasm, that is your muscle fibers, smooth muscle fibers cytoplasm is again provided with longitudinal myofibrils. They also have this contractile myofibrils, but unlike the skeletal muscle which works according to our will, smooth muscles are involuntary in function. That means they will not work according to our wish or will. And where are they present? Of course, they are present in the internal organs of our body. If you talk about the esophagus, the rhythmic contraction and relaxation of the food pipe through which the food goes, which is the posterior part of the food pipe, because the anterior part, the front portion, because from after the mouth the esophagus starts, so this portion is under your control because you're swallowing, so you know that you have to swallow, so this portion is under your control, so that is skeletal muscle. But the posterior part of your food pipe, when it starts and it joins with that of your stomach muscle and all, so that is made up of your smooth muscle. Okay, the muscles which are present in the lungs, they are made up of your smooth muscle. The urinary bladder, that is made up of the smooth muscle. So the internal organs functioning, which is muscular, that is actually under the control of this smooth muscles movement, which is involuntary. So smooth muscles are also known as your involuntary muscle. And why this word smooth, as I begin with, the reason is because if you see inside this fibrils, that is inside this fibers rather, you won't find this alternate light and dark bands as you have seen in case of skeletal muscle here. So since they don't have any alternate light and dark bands, this myofibrils which are present, they will not be presenting any alternate light and dark bands. Understood? So since they are not provided with alternate light and dark bands, that is why they are called as your smooth muscle. And these smooth muscles are compactly arranged and they have a common connective tissue around them, because of which they are very powerful and they can function all together to perform any kind of involuntary activities happening inside our body. Then next is the cardiac muscle. As the name suggests, cardiac muscle, these muscles are present only in heart. Understood? These are involuntary, these are also involuntary, but these are present in the internal organs of our body other than heart. And as the name suggests, cardiac means heart, so these muscles are found only in heart. Understood? And these work tirelessly throughout the life of an organism. That means till the death of an organism, the cardiac muscle works. It does not fatigues, that means it does not get tired. But this smooth muscle cells are also involuntary, but sometimes the smooth muscle cells may not work. Like for example, you are always means when you are sleeping, that time of course the internal organs are working, but they are not working to their fullest. Sometimes they also take rest. When the food is not there in the stomach, the food is not getting swallowed by the esophagus, that time the contraction and the relaxation of the esophagus muscle is not taking place. But if you talk about heart, the heart always keeps on working, isn't it, from the time the organism is formed till the death of the organism. So these are the specialized involuntary type of muscles which have a characteristic of both the skeletal muscle and the smooth muscle. Now what are the common characteristic? If you see it closely, you can find some similarity with the skeletal muscle in the sense that they have alternate light and dark bands. Here also you can see alternate light and dark bands. This one is a light band, white portion, and this dark portion is the dark band. Understood? Now if you see the nucleus is the cardiac muscle cell is uninuclear. That means each segment here comprises of a cell. So this is a cell, this is a cell. So here you can see just one nucleus is there. In the smooth muscles also you see one nucleus is there. Okay. So that is the characteristic of this. Then it is different from that of the skeletal muscle cell in the sense is that the skeletal muscle cell does not shows any branching. But if you see closely the cardiac muscle, you can see a lot of branching is there. And when there is a junction, this junction helps to form a connection between the adjacent two, cardiac muscle fiber. You can see that there is a connection. This is joined with this is joined with this. So these junctions forms a kind of disc. Now what is this disc? This disc is called intercalated disc. INTERCALATED, intercalated disc. Now what is the function of this intercalated disc is that if a stimulus is generated in the cardiac muscle, because of these junctions where this intercalated disc is present, it can immediately go or jump into the adjacent cardiac muscle, and as a result it can work as a whole entity or whole unit instead of a single fiber. Understood? So jointly to function so that the effect is more, as because the heart has to pump the blood, isn't it? So the effect has to be vigorous, or else the pumping of the heart won't be sufficient enough to pump the blood to every part of our body. So since it has to take place, that is the reason this junctions present within the fibers of the cardiac muscle cell helps to transmit or to stimulate the adjoining cardiac cell, and as a result they can work as a entire entity. So that is the function of the cardiac muscle cell with the various kinds of structure. structural modifications in that. So these are the three types of muscular tissue present in our body, which functions, somebody according to our will, somebody not according to our will, someone definitely without getting any tiredness from the time of its formation of an organism. That means when the circulatory system starts forming in an organism, in the embryonic stage only it starts functioning, from there till the death of the organism. Okay, now the last portion of this animal tissue chapter is the nervous tissue. Now the nervous tissue's unit, functional unit, is a neuron. Okay, now neuron, what is it? It's a long cord like structure. Some neurons present in our body are 1 meter long, so that they have to send the that is a stimulus from one part of the body to other. See, every part of our body is actually connected by means of this neurons, because sensation is present in each and every part of our body. Neurons are present in our brain, neurons are present in our spinal cord, neurons are present in our sense organs. So that's the function, or you can say that's the importance of neuron. Now each neuron has separate portions. We will see that this is the head portion. This portion is the head portion of the neuron, and it is known as your cyton. Okay, what does it comprises of? It comprises of a nucleus, a dense cytoplasm inside it, and the plasma membrane of the neuron here forms certain projections, beak-like projections. You can see some beak-like projections are present. Birds have beaks, so they have also beak-like projections. Now these projections are known as your dendrites. Okay, now this portion, the broader portion, is dendron, and the hairy portion is known as the dendrite. This dendrite helps to bind with the next neuron, and thus from one neuron to the next neuron the information passes. How it will be done, I will first explain, and then I will again tell you that how the dendrites help in the transmission of the stimulus from one neuron to the next. So this is about the head portion of the neuron, comprising of nucleus, dense cytoplasm, and the dendron and the dendrites, and this is known as your cyton. Now one of the dendron becomes long. You can see it has become long. Now this long portion of the dendron is known as your axon. Okay, so this long portion is known as your axon. Now this axon sometimes may be covered externally by a covering, a protective covering. It gives insulation to the neuron. That means when the stimulus is carried, it does not mingles with the adjacent neuron. That means there will be protection, like you have seen the electrical wire, they are coated externally by plastic coating, isn't it? So that when the two wires are adjacent to each other, electricity impulse does not jumps from one wire to next. So similarly, if the neuron is having an external protective coating, in that case the information or the impulse which it is carrying, it is not hindered by the adjacent neuron, or it does not jumps to the adjacent neuron. So such covering is known as your myelin sheath, and such kind of neuron having the myelin sheath is known as your myelinated neuron. Okay, now myelin sheath externally sometimes are also having a kind of specialized cell which is called as your Schwann cells. This red color dots which I have drawn here, you can see these are the Schwann cells. Now Schwann cells function is what? Schwann cells helps in the production or formation of this myelin sheath, which gives insulation to the axon so that the impulse can be carried out smoothly. Okay, next you can also see there is written node of Ranvier. Now what is this node of Ranvier? This myelin sheath which I have drawn, it is not continuous. Somewhere there are gaps. That means it is up to here continuous, then gap, then up to here continuous, then gap, up to here continuous, then gap. So when there is a gap, that gap is known as your node of Ranvier. Okay, so myelin sheath is not entire, it is broken in between. Some segments are there in which there is some portions of the neurons, which is of the axon, which is exposed, and that portion is known as your node of Ranvier. Okay, fine. Next, this axon ends, that means it finishes into the branchings which is known as your terminal endings, or it is also known as your terminal branches. Okay, and these terminal branches or the terminal endings are provided with certain round or knob like structures at the bottom, which is known as your synaptic knob, and these synaptic knobs are provided with some chemical substances which is known as your neurotransmitter. Okay, what are they known as? They are known as your neurotransmitter. Let me write here. Okay, and where are they present? They are present here in the synaptic knob. So in the synaptic knob are present the neurotransmitter. Now what is this neurotransmitter? The neurotransmitters are the chemical substances which are present in these knobs, in the terminal endings. When the stimulus reaches here, since it is an animal cell, so we all know that animal cell is surrounded by what? It is surrounded by cell membrane. So this knob is also surrounded by the cell membrane. So when the stimulus reaches there, the cell membrane is semi-permeable in nature, isn't it? So because of semi-permeability, what happens is that there are certain vesicles. Vesicles means what? Like vacuoles, which contains these neurotransmitters. So those vesicles comes out of this synaptic knob containing the neurotransmitters, and they are dispersed into the surroundings. So when they are dispersed into the surroundings like this, suppose if they are dispersed into the surroundings, so when they are dispersed into the surroundings, suppose this is one neuron and next neuron is here, my hand is one neuron, so this fingers of my hand represents the dendrites. So if the neuron is present like this, so the dendrite will be associated with that of this terminal ending synaptic knob, and they will take up this neurotransmitters, which is in the form of signal or impulse, and thus that impulse, suppose if this is the dendrite, that impulse will again travel through the dendrite to the cyton, then to the axon, then again to the terminal endings, and it will reach here. And this endings, if it is attached to that of your muscle, and then in that case the muscle will be pulled, because now the information will be given to whom? They will be given to the skeletal muscle, and the skeletal muscle has what? It has the proteins, the contractile proteins, the actin and the myosin. Now due to those messages, impulses reaching to the skeletal muscle, the proteins present here, they will contract. So if this unit becomes smaller, if it is contracting, okay, if it becomes smaller, then what will happen? The muscle will show a pull or a push. So a movement will be shown by the help of the skeletal muscle, because the neurons are taking the stimulus and reaching to the skeletal muscle, which shows again the movement. So this is how the movement and the locomotion takes place by the help of the information which is carried by that of the neurons to our skeletal muscle, and which now will contract, and when the stimulus that is your time period is over, then again it will come back to its original form. That means it will be relaxing. Okay, along with the that is the neurons, which are the part of the nervous tissue, there are certain packing nervous tissues also. What are those tissues known as? Those tissues are known as your neuroglial cells. They are made up of neuroglial cells. So the nervous tissue is made up of neuron and neuroglial cell. Okay, what is the spelling? Let me write here so that you can remember the spelling. That is neuroglial cells. Okay, what are those neuroglial cells? That means the neurons will be performing the function, and the packing of the neurons surrounding the neuron, there must be some packing elements. Those packing elements are the neuroglial cells. Okay, so that completes the nervous tissue also, which comprises of the neuron, which is the functional unit with which the brain, the spinal cord is made up of, and which are associated with that of the sensory organs also, and surrounding them, helping them, or you can say the packing them, are the neuroglial cells. Okay, so that completes our animal tissue portion of the tissue chapter. We have first completed the plant tissue, and today we have completed the animal tissue. I hope I could make the animal tissue clearer to you. Thank you.